Games! That's right, folks. Another year is in the books, so of course that means it's time for another video where I talk about my favorite games that I played this year. And you know what? I played a good amount. I played a grand total of 18 games. 9 games that were actually released this year, as well as 9 honorable mentions we'll talk about later. But honestly, you know, I'm not too mad at this list. Were there other games I would have liked to play? Sure, but that happens pretty much every year, where it's like, yeah, you know what, there are other games I wish I would have played, but you know what I did play, I'm not mad at. But yeah, like I said, we got 9 2022 releases to get through, as well as a handful of honorable mentions, so without further ado, let's just get into it. So coming in at number 9 is a game that I debated for some time whether I was actually going to include in this list or not, because I have very mixed feelings on it. And honestly, I feel like I have more complaints than praise, but ultimately I decided it would be worth recommending under certain circumstances. Anyway, coming in at number 9 is Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, I was excited for this game for some time, as I know some people were. It first showed up on a lot of people's radar during an E3 event. I forget exactly which year it was, because one of the presenters, Ikumi Nakamura, had a very strong stage presence, became one of the stars of that year's show. So of course, the game that she was introducing got a lot of hype behind it as well. And that's what really, from what I can tell, that's really kicked off the hype for this game. And ultimately, did it pay off? No. Like I said, this game is okay under certain circumstances. Let me just talk about my gripes first, and then I'll get into what I actually liked about it. Issue number 1, the map. It's too damn big. It's too damn big. There's no reason that map needs to be as big as it was. No reason whatsoever. The map was unnecessarily big. For as big as that map was, there was very little substance within the world that they had made. It was so unnecessarily large. There's no real fun way to traverse the map either. It's one thing if the map is large, but it's still, fun to move around in, sure, but even then, not really. There's the fast travel system, of course, but even then, the fast travel system, the fast travel points weren't spread out very evenly across the map. So, like, you'd have, 3 bunched up in, one area, and then this big, wide space where there's, none within, a mile fucking radius. So you couldn't even, really take advantage of the fast travel system to, make traversing the map a bit easier. Nope. And there's an upgrade you can get later in the game where you can where it's easier to get up on the rooftops and just zip across that way instead of being on the ground. But even then, that still can be tedious at times if the distance is long enough. So yeah, the map just way too fucking big. My second biggest gripe with this game is its runtime is really padded with a bunch of collectathon shit. It's a lot of collect these relics, catch these certain ghosts, catch yokai, and then there's side missions and some other things as well, but at the end of the day, it's so padded out. If you were to just mainline the story missions and that's it, you could breeze through this game pretty fucking quickly. And for a full price AAA title, is this a AAA title? Does it fall under the category of AAA? I don't fucking know for sure. Whatever, it was a full price $60 game. At that price, I feel like there wasn't much behind it. Like I said, a lot of side content and not really a lot of engaging side content. If it was a lot of side missions where there was something to it, then I wouldn't be as mad with it, but a lot of it is just go to point A, collect this, go to point B, do this, point C, do this. And there wasn't really much behind it. So, and that's what it feels like they really tried to pad out the world with. Instead of adding anything really substantial to it, it was just, hey, go collect these things, which, yeah, no, that didn't really do work too well in its favor. But then that leads me into my third issue with it, is that, I talk about, like, if you were to, just run the story missions, but then the story itself is just okay. I don't think it was a bad story per se. I think it was just very uninteresting. I think it was just very mediocre, right? It wasn't anything like truly interesting that really kept my investment, that really kept me invested into it. There were so many times where, like, I'd get caught up doing all this side content that when I come back to the story missions, I don't remember what's going on. There was legitimately a point where I had to watch a recap prior to a stream just so I could remember what was actually going on in the story, because I legitimately had no idea. I had completely forgotten, like, the main beats of the story. So, not the best story, but I also don't think it was terrible. The ending was a bit rough. I like the idea they had behind the ending. I wish they would have fleshed it out a bit more. The ending felt just really abrupt. Just like all of a sudden, here's the end. There it is. Bye. I feel like they could have been worked out a bit better, but once again, not terrible. It just really didn't live up to its full potential. Now I know what you're wondering, like, my god, dude, you've done nothing but shit on this game so far. Why is it on this list? This is supposed to be a list of games you enjoyed. Where's the good behind it? And the good comes from the actual gameplay, specifically the combat. My god, this game was fun as hell to play. Was I interested in it? Did it really keep me thinking, keep me invested in, what was coming next? Where's the plot going, No. Did I care about the environment or, like, the city or what's going on in the map? No. But was actually playing the game, fighting the spirits and the bosses fun? Oh, fuck yes. Fuck yes it was. My god, that was what kept me going with this playthrough more than anything, is the fact that I couldn't wait to just do more combat stuff. That's why I couldn't wait for side missions where you, like, go into these areas and do all these things, the story missions where you uncover new areas, you get these bosses that have their own unique twists to them. Oh my god, the combat was so good. And that's why ultimately I can kind of recommend this game. If you're willing to kind of turn off your brain a bit playing this one and just enjoy the combat and flashy colors, it can be a lot of fun. Alright, if you're looking for a strong narrative masterpiece, this ain't it. If you're looking for a nice big open world with plenty to do, this ain't it. But is the gameplay overall fun and can be enjoyable if you don't put too much weight on those other parts? Yes. I feel like this game legitimately could have been a lot better if a lot of the negative parts were worked out a bit more. But ultimately, I feel it is worth recommending somewhat to people who just aren't looking for a masterpiece, but just something fun. Because this game can legitimately be fun. Alright, so coming in at number 8 is Not Tonight 2. Now, Not Tonight is a series that it's essentially like Papers, Please, for those of you who know that game, but with a more comedic twist to it. It's not nearly as dramatic. It tackles, real world political issues, so I know if that's a thing that you generally don't want in your video games, I could see how this game might turn you off. The first game took place in the UK and dealt a lot with Brexit, which was a very hot topic at the time. Not Tonight 2 takes place in America, which has quite the divisive political landscape nowadays. So, there was definitely plenty of content for them to work with there. Ultimately, I feel like, the more political aspects of it were handled pretty well. And what I both like and don't like at the same time about Not Tonight 2 is its variety. There's a lot of variety to it. It's not like with the first game where it was just like, okay, check IDs, check tickets, this and that, very basic things. Like each like area you went and visited, because in Not Tonight 2 you spend the game traveling across the entire US. You go from this state to that state to this state to that state, and there's more so mini games associated with these areas. Like there's still IDs and tickets and certain clothing requirements, scanning for illegal items and all that you would find in a game like this. But then there's also like these weird mini games. There's one you work at a fast food where you're like at this fast food place and you have to like serve orders as you're taking tickets and whatnot. There's one where like you work at a cult and you have to deal out fucking like different medications depending on who's coming through the line. There's a lot of very interesting ones, but then on the flip side there's also ones that were just fucking irritating. I forget which one it was. I think the one that was probably the most irritating is the one that was truly left up to chance. I think it's the one that takes place, I'm pretty sure it takes place in Vegas. There's some kind of like, I think it's like a higher or lower kind of mini game. It's a total chance thing, and it's not really something you can get better at and improve at. It's something that's really entirely left to chance, and that for a game like this just doesn't feel right. I don't know, it definitely pissed me off a few times. That's one that immediately comes to mind. I know there were a couple others I just wasn't the biggest fan of, but like I said, there were so many others that were just really good. Like one where you're the bouncer for like a chicken factory and you have to shoot escapee chickens, like and you have to decide which chickens are ready for slaughter and which aren't. Like you're a bouncer for chickens. Like this, when I say this game is goofy, it's fucking goofy, alright? Like I said, does it cover, these big, important topics? Yes. But does it do so in a way that you can fucking chuckle at? Absolutely. It's not like horribly in your face serious about these, heavy issues. It will talk about them, and, it won't be subtle about it, but it'll be in a way that's just goofy as shit that you can understand the message they're getting across and still find it, and still enjoy it, and still find it fucking hilarious. I think it was a really good game overall, a solid sequel, and I don't know if they plan on making another game like this, but if they do, I'm very much looking forward to it. Alright, and coming in at number 7 is Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega Mix Plus. Now, the main reason this game is so low on this list is because it's really just a simple port. It's nothing special from Project Diva Future Tone, which was released on the PS4 in fucking 2018 maybe? 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. A while ago. But is it a pretty good port? Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that the Project Diva series is on the PC in an official capacity now. I've had so much more fun playing it on a keyboard rather than a controller. There's a few songs that they didn't bring over from Future Tone, that like some big ones like Eve and Polka, which that's a huge song amongst the Vocaloid community. So I'm surprised that one didn't make the cut. But and a few others that I was a personal fan of that was sad to not see return. But there's still like fucking 250 songs, something like that, worth of game here, so there's still just so much shit for you to do within this game. Of course, it's still a whole lot of fun. It's actually incredibly enjoyable. I love this game, but ultimately it's just a solid port and not really anything new and worthwhile, so that's why it's a bit lower on the list. Other than that, not really much to cover. It's just fun. I enjoy playing it. Coming in at number 6 is Dorfromantik. Dorfromantik is a very interesting puzzle game. It's essentially like you build out this landscape based on these pieces you get. You have these hexagon shaped pieces and they all have like different kind of borders on them, and you have to match the borders right and create like this big landscape with it. There's trees, fields, buildings, water, railway tracks, and just blank open spaces, and you connect them all to build out this massive like landscape. And it's, for me personally, it is so fucking addicting. It's honestly what I spend most of my nights playing anymore, is I'll just throw on some random YouTube video and just fucking spend so much time just playing this damn game. Like, I've got a pretty massive one built up right now that I'm working on. This is like easily my biggest game I've played yet, and oh my god, it's just so much fun, especially when you get a really good run, and at the end of it you can zoom out and see this massive fucking landscape you've built. Oh, and it's a really simple puzzle game, but I love the looks of it. I love it has a really relaxing soundtrack to it. It's just a fun, addicting puzzle game. If you like puzzle games, I strongly recommend it because it's fun, it looks great, and I mean, what more do you really need from a puzzle game? It really does make you think too. It's not one that's just, easy. It may start off seeming like, oh, this is easy, but once you really get into the thick of it, once you get those really long runs where you're really contemplating where each individual piece is going to go, you're really thinking like, do I truly want to place this one here, or maybe somewhere else would be more efficient? No, like it can be a real head scratcher at times. So if you're looking for a puzzle game that's gonna really make you think a bit more, this one can be that. This one can definitely be that. So yeah, highly recommend.
Anybody there? Please, I need your help. Zia can't do this on her own.
Coming in at number 5 is My Big Sister Remastered. Now normally I wouldn't put like a simple remaster on this list, but this game is definitely more than a simple remaster. It's labeled as a remaster, but honestly it fits the bill of a remake more so, in my opinion. Stronger Games, the developer behind the original My Big Sister, and of course the new one, essentially rebuilt this game from the ground up. Completely new set pieces, redid the character sprites, tweaked the dialogue a bit more to fit with the continuity he's created with his previous games. Like, this feels like a fucking whole remake of the game. Like, yeah, the main story as we know it is still there, but it's more than just slightly tweaked as you would expect from a remaster. It truly feels like the game was totally remade, and for that reason I gotta give it a big shout out, because when you compare the two games, it's obvious how much this man has improved in his art, and it's insane. It's insane. Because I looked back at some of my old videos from my Big Sister playthrough and compared it to the looks of the remaster, and it's night and day. Like, I enjoyed the original My Big Sister, but holy fuck, the art in the new game is just so fucking gorgeous. Legitimately gorgeous. I'm not a huge fan of pixel art, it's not really my thing, but my god, Stronga makes some gorgeous fucking pixel art. The settings are just phenomenal. The character sprites look great. Holy fuck, everything just looks so much better. It's insane. And of course, the story is pretty much the same story as we know it. Like I said earlier, it's been tweaked a bit to fit the continuity of his previous games he's created with Red Bow, Ashina, and Just Ignore Them. Now that he's created a world where those games are all connected in a way, he's tweaked like certain dialogue, certain events, added some extra scenes to make everything flow a bit better, which was nice. It was nice to see various references to previous characters that I'd seen from these other games, or certain events, or just certain little moments that are callbacks to previous games. It was really nice. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I feel like My Big Sister was easily one of my favorite indie games when it came out, and to this day still my favorite. But yes, this remaster is amazing. If you're going to play this game, this is definitely the version you want to play. Like with the original, I can't recommend enough. One of my favorite indies. It's an absolutely solid game. Highly recommend you check it out. Alrighty. Coming in at number 4 is Love, Money, Rock and Roll. Yeah, that's right, the visual novel we just wrapped up not too long ago. I really enjoyed this for the most part. Love, Money, Rock and Roll I greatly enjoyed for the most part. As the title would suggest, the soundtrack was probably like the biggest plus of this game. Fuck, this soundtrack is amazing. I bought the soundtrack, I love it. I listen to it frequently now. There's so many good fucking songs on it. I wish, so many of these songs didn't get copyright claimed, but, beggars can't be choosers. But soundtrack aside, the stories, for the most part, really good. There's 4 different routes to the game. I enjoyed 3 of them. And the 3 that I did enjoy were solid. Kagome's route, I still say 9 out of 10, best route. Catherine, I think, is like close behind. I'd say her route is like 8 out of 10. I'd say Catherine is like a fucking phenomenal character, and I think Catherine is ultimately my favorite character in the game, but her route, was a bit lacking, I'd say. Once again, not bad. I'd say could have been better. But I gave it like a solid 8 out of 10. Himitsu, I fucking hate this character, but her story was actually pretty enjoyable. I'd also give it a solid 8 out of 10. And then there's Ellie, who was dog shit, both as a character and as a story. Did not enjoy it very much at all, which is unfortunate. I feel like Ellie really brings the game down, but ultimately 3 out of 4 ain't bad, especially when the 3 are really fucking good. This is a game that I had been waiting 3 years for. I had it pre-ordered for 3 years, ever since I played Soviet Games' first visual novel, Everlasting Summer, which greatly enjoyed that. So honestly, I expected another game similar to Everlasting Summer, and no, my expectations got blown away by what I actually got. This game is like 3 times the length of Everlasting Summer, which was insane. Not what I was expecting at all. I didn't realize when I started it that it was going to be that long of a playthrough. I didn't realize there was going to be that much packed into the game, but I'm so glad there was, because like I said, most of these stories were solid, really enjoyable, kept me hooked, and I legitimately recommend it. I talk shit on Ellie's route, but I know there's a lot of people who really enjoyed it, so who knows, maybe it's something that you'll like all 4 routes, maybe you won't like any. Everyone's got different preferences, but I still recommend it. I still think it's solid. Not perfect, but it was solid. Really enjoyed it, so yeah. Alright, now before we get into our top 3 games of 2022, we gotta talk about the honorable mentions, which of course are the games that weren't released this year, but I did play for the first time this year, and I feel like they deserve a bit of a shout out. So, we've got 9 honorable mentions this year, so without further ado, let's just jump into this list. Kicking off the list is Deltarune Chapter 2. Deltarune's not like a series I'm huge into, nor with Undertale. It's not something I'm like a diehard fan of, but I enjoy it, and Deltarune Chapter 2 is no exception. It was just very enjoyable. The humor is still I keep saying enjoyable, but like that's just the best word I could use to describe it. Everything was just enjoyable. Was there anything amazing that really stood out to me? Not really, but overall it was just really good. So if it's something you're into, if it's something you've been thinking about, I recommend it. Next up is Life is Strange True Colors. This one I was a bit on the fence about playing. I waited till it was on sale because it is probably the most expensive Life is Strange game we've had, and it was developed by Deck 9, whose previous Life is Strange title is, in my opinion, easily the worst Life is Strange title. But I feel like Deck 9 really redeemed themselves with this game. Like I said, I held off, waited till it was on sale, but when I finally got into it, oh my god, it was more than worth it. A really solid story. I feel like True Colors was a great opportunity for Deck 9 to flex what they could really do. I feel like having to develop a prequel really put a lot of limitations on them as to what they could do with that game. Whereas I feel with True Colors, they still had to, remain within the confines of the Life is Strange universe, but that's really all they had to do, which I don't think that's nearly as restricting as developing a prequel for a pre-existing game. True Colors, they just were given a chance to cut loose and do their own thing, and I feel like it really worked out for them. Do I think it's like truly amazing? Do I think it stands on like the level of the Don't Nod games? No, I still hold the Don't Nod games above this one, but is this one bad? Not at all. Really enjoyed it. If you're a Life is Strange fan who like me didn't really enjoy Deck 9's previous entry, I'd say give this one a chance because it might just surprise you like it did me. Next up is Spider-Man Miles Morales, and holy Christ, this game was fucking awesome. I put this game off for so long for no real particular reason. I just never thought to fucking play it. Yo, it wasn't until like the end of 21 when it went on sale on the PlayStation Store that I bought it on sale, and I decided, you know what, I got this game, might as well play it, because it was during that period during the winter at the beginning of the year when I was waiting for when Total Eclipse was supposed to drop, and so I was just playing some short games in between then, and I decided, yeah, why not, Miles Morales. And I'm so glad I did. Holy fuck, this game was so much fun. The combat is great, the story was beautiful, a solid game. Dare I say 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I love the soundtrack, I love the gameplay, I love the story. It succeeded where Ghostwire didn't, where it has the big map, it has things you can do within the big map, maybe not a whole lot of things, but you know what you can do with big map? You can have a lot of fun traversing big map. There's a fun way of moving around big map. And that's just kind of to be expected with a Spider-Man game, honestly, but yeah, no, I had so much fun with this one. I can't recommend it enough. Mad hype for the sequel that's coming out hopefully this year. But yeah, no, that's all I gotta say about that one. Peep it. And coming up next is American Truck Simulator. Now this one kind of came out of left field. Honestly, I was just scrolling around on YouTube one day, and a video popped up of like a clip of some streamer I watch who was playing American Truck Simulator. So I'm like, sure, why not? I like this streamer, I'll watch this clip. And I watched this video and I really enjoyed it, and then, obviously what pops up in the recommended is, oh, the VOD, the full VOD of this person playing American Truck Simulator. I'm like, sure, why not? And dear God, it was just so enjoyable to just watch this game. So I decided, you know what? If it goes on sale, I might just cop it for myself. And lo and behold, at some point this year, it went on sale, I copped it, and honestly, it's fun. It's a lot more fun than I expected. It's legitimately a nice game to just kind of relax with. Not one to where you totally want to turn your brain off with, because there's some, because you're driving, right? Pay attention to the road, but it's a fun game to just chill out and have fun with and not really worry too much about anything. Just fucking hook up your trailer and hit the road, my guy. It can be so much fun. Put some music on, like you're listening to the radio. Oh, it can truly be a very good time. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I would recommend it, because honestly, I never would have thought it would be something I would enjoy, but fuck, I've legitimately been having a lot of fun with it. So yeah, big recommend. Alright, now I know this next one might get me some flack, alright? I know this one kind of gets, is a bit divisive. People definitely like to hate on this one, so I know there's some people that are probably going to be disappointed that I've even played this, but regardless, I feel like it's worth a shout out nonetheless. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that Genshin Impact is not that bad, alright? It isn't. I honestly, I agree with what people usually criticize it for overall, is that it's a gacha game, and gacha games are kind of shit. And yes, I'm not disagreeing with that, but honestly, I've been having a lot more fun with this game than I ever expected to. Legitimately, I expected to start playing it, get bored with it, and drop it. But, I decided to play this game because I noticed it had quite a few voice actors that I was a fan of. And I was like, alright, I'm going to play this game, see what it's about. Hopefully I can get, these characters that got voice actors that I like. And I was lucky enough that I did. But it's been a lot more enjoyable than I expected. And honestly, if I had more time to invest into it, I would probably play a lot more of it. And I haven't played it in like a month or two now, just because there's other games I want to play. I don't want to be locked down to just playing this. I want to play other things. I don't have the time to invest daily into Genshin. If I did, then yeah, I would be playing so much more of it, because I do genuinely believe it's a lot of fun. I really like the four-man gameplay, where you got different elements and different abilities and this whole setup and switching between characters. I feel like that genuinely can be a lot of fun, and it genuinely has been. And like I said, if I had more time to really invest into it, oh, I could have so much fun with this game. So yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. Genshin Impact, decent. Do I think it's some fucking masterpiece? Oh, fuck no. Do I think it's some 10 out of 10 amazing experience that everyone should fucking have. Far from it. But do I think it's enjoyable? Sure. Like, it's free. Give it a chance. You don't have to spend money on it. Have I spent money on it? Yeah. But do I feel bad about it? No. Because I legitimately enjoy the experience I'm getting, so I don't feel too bad about throwing a couple bucks their way every now and again. Alright, 3 more honorable mentions to go. Coming up next is Honey Pop 2 Double Date. I was a big fan of the first Honey Pop game. Obviously, like most people, I played the first one because haha, boobies. But my second and third time playing through that game, it was more so, wow, I actually legitimately enjoy the gameplay of this. This is actually really good, what the fuck. And Double Date was good. Alright, I liked the new twist on it where you're like playing, where you kind of have to go back and forth between each character and have to understand like, okay, what matches work well here, and like saving up so you can switch over to this character and use matches there. I like the idea of it. I'm typically not a fan of like threesome content, but since Honey Pop 2 doesn't take itself seriously at all, it's really just a goofy, silly, fun time. I didn't worry too much about that. With Honey Pop 2, you don't fucking take anything seriously, alright? With the Honey Pop series, no, you don't fucking take anything serious. That's not how you play this, alright? Taking shit seriously, throw out the fucking window. We don't do that here, alright? Fuck you. But yeah, ultimately, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I still would say first game's a bit better, but do I think the second game's bad? No. Alright, and then next up on this list is Amagami. This is an older visual novel from the PS2 era that I knew nothing about until one of my friends online just happened to play it, and then they started ranting and raving about it, saying how good it was. They were constantly retweeting fan art of it. It was constantly in my fucking face, so I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give it a shot. And currently I've only played through half the routes. I've played through 3 of the 6. But honestly, those 3 have been really fucking good. Like, if you're looking for just a really nice fucking slice of life romance visual novel, Amagami's the fucking spot, dude. I will say, chances are, probably gonna want a guide playing through it. I did play through my first route without a guide, and I'm kind of proud of that because that's quite the feat. Because, my god, it can get complicated if you're not careful. But yeah, play with a guide. But yeah, if you play with a guide, it's just going to be a really nice, enjoyable romance story. I love it. It's awesome. So, honestly, I'm very excited to play the last 3. I haven't dipped out of it because I lost interest in it. More so because I haven't had as much time since I've been editing a second playthrough alongside my daily videos right now. So that's kind of taken up quite a bit of time, but once I get the time to jump back into it, oh my god, I can't wait to finish up those last 3 routes. It's just so much good. So much good? It's just so much fun. It's really good. I enjoy it. And now, for the first time in IPlayVidya history, I'm actually going to give a special shout out, an award, if you will, to my favorite honorable mention. Because this honorable mention was so good that I feel like just saying, yeah, I liked it and moving on and not giving it any kind of special recognition, would be a shame. So, since this game is the first game to win this award, I'm dubbing it the Golden Butterfly Award. That's right, my favorite honorable mention of the year, of course, has to go to Umineko. Holy fucking shit, what a journey this was. Technically, I played the first half of Umineko in 21, but the first half of Umineko, that's just a warm-up, alright? The real meat of it, the part that hooks everyone in, is the back half, the last 4 episodes. And I played all 4 of those this year, and let me tell you, after finally finishing this story, I can't recommend it enough, alright? It is such a fucking wild ride. I don't know where to begin in recommending this without like giving away, without like slightly spoiling things, because I don't want to spoil anything. I know like chances are if you're watching this video, you've probably seen it. then that's all well and good. But if you're someone who's watching this video who doesn't know about Umineko, hasn't tried it for yourself, dear God, read it. Even if you've been spoiled on things, like, it's such a different experience reading it yourself than just having certain events explained to you. Because I had like one or two minor things spoiled for me prior to reading it, but even still, it was just such an insane experience reading that on my own that I don't know where to begin describing it. It is such a fucking phenomenal story. And like, even the issues I took, even the parts I had issue with early on, resolve themselves later in the story. Like, eventually I was able to work through those issues, or something I had issue with was then later explained later in the story to where I no longer had an issue with it, and it's just such a fucking insane story. I can't recommend it highly enough. It was so fucking amazing that I have to give it special recognition and give it its own special award this year, because holy fuck, it deserves it. Phenomenal story. If you haven't read it, read it for yourself. I know it's a fucking big time investment, but Jesus, it is worth it. But with our honorable mentions out of the way, it is time to get to our big three of 2022. So coming in third place, taking home the bronze medal, is Ashina the Red Witch. Another entry from Stronger Games. This was a totally new game, not a remaster, remake, what have you. It serves as a prequel to My Big Sister, and it also serves to connect all of Stronga's previous games into this one shared universe, which is fucking insane. It's not at all what I expected going into it, alright? Like, I knew it was going to be a prequel to My Big Sister. That's what he marketed it as. That's what he kept telling us it was, alright? But it's so much more than that. It fucking brings together everything he's created into this one shared universe. All these things I thought were just separate stories, right? My Big Sister, Red Bow, Just Ignore Them. I thought these were all like separate stories. They all had the similar art style because he was the one making them. But I just kind of figured like, yeah, no, they deal with like the supernatural stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all connected. But then Ashina came in, and not only was it just overall a good story, it was really enjoyable. I really loved the story of Ashina's adventure through the spirit world and how she eventually wound up at where she is in My Big Sister. The story was great. I liked the new characters they introduced. I liked the older characters they brought back into the story. But the fact that this one thing that was just supposed to be a nice little prequel story served to connect everything that's been put out previously is just, it's insane. And I think it was handled incredibly well, and I gotta give mad props to Stronga for accomplishing that, for doing it and doing it well, for making something that was just that damn good. Because that's an ambitious goal to connect all. Like, I'm sure some of his games he made with the intention maybe of it being a shared universe. I don't know the man's intentions. I can't speak for him, but it's still probably a lofty goal to have these three separate games that you've created and then saying, now I'm going to make a game that connects all three of them in some way, shape, or form. It's just insane, and I'm very impressed with what he did, and I'm very much looking forward to whatever he puts out next, because it was great. So big props to Stronga, bronze medal to Ashina the Red Witch. Coming in second place, taking home the silver medal, it's Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, I was a bit hesitant on this one because I wasn't sure I'd enjoy it. All the trailers and promotional material I was seeing about it, I wasn't sure I was going to like it, which is why I didn't play it right away. Which is why I didn't, jump on it in an instant. But then my timeline was getting just filled up with people praising it, saying, oh, it's so good, so good. So I'm like, alright, I'll take the leap of faith. I'll give it a shot. I'll see what it's about. And I am very impressed with what I got, alright? I am incredibly impressed with what they gave us. It was a nice new spin on the Pokemon series, which, I enjoy the classic Pokemon formula. I know a lot of people like to complain online about, oh, it's so stale, it's so old, they need something new. I'm like, I enjoy classic Pokemon. I like Pokemon, and therefore that includes liking just classic Pokemon playstyle, alright? Yo, you go on the grass, you catch shit, you take on 8 gyms, Elite Four, bada bing, bada boom. I don't dislike that. But I really like what they did with Legends Arceus, alright? And I'm not saying I don't like when they switch up their stuff either. Like, my favorite Pokemon game is not a mainline game. It's a spin-off that did things differently. And that's Pokemon Coliseum. So, yeah, no, I was very impressed with Legends Arceus. I like the feel of it. I really like the taking a step back and going into like these, quote-unquote ancient times. I don't remember exactly when this is roughly supposed to be taking place, but, the fact that you have to craft all your own items and shit, that kind of tells you where you're at with it. But I really like the vibes of it, and I know I'm not alone in hoping that eventually they go more with the Legends series, because it seems like Pokemon Legends is meant to be its own spin-off series, and that Arceus is just the label they gave for like a Sinnoh region. And I really hope they do move into other regions with this series. I hope so, because I feel like it'd be really cool to get a look at seeing these regions that we know and love, but in their more ancient forms, getting more backstory on like the legends that we know from those regions and the legendary Pokemon, the mythicals and all that. It was really cool. I'm really impressed with it. I really enjoyed it, and I very much hope we get more Legends content in the future. But yeah, great game, highly recommend. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the number one, the gold medalist, Vidya's Game of the Year. You might have guessed it, because it is a big name AAA game. It was nominated at the Game Awards, alright? It took home some awards, but not Game of the Year. But it is my Game of the Year, and I gotta show much love to it because it's fucking great. That, of course, is God of War Ragnarok. Now, listen, I'm not even done with the game. I haven't even finished it. But I can tell you that no matter how this game actually ends, story-wise, I can't imagine it being disappointing. I feel like, here's the thing, if it had a truly disappointing ending, if it had a truly ending that was objectively bad, right, I feel like I would have heard it by now. I feel like by now I would have heard people complaining like, wow, that ending sucked ass. So the fact that I haven't heard any of that, like, no matter how this game is going to end, I know I'm going to enjoy it, and I know it's not going to shake its position on its list. Even if it's, maybe a disappointing ending, an ending I'm not looking forward to, the rest of this game has been so much fun. The story has been so interesting. I've been very invested into the story. Like, unlike with Ghostwire Tokyo, when I break away from the main story of Ragnarok and I go and do all these side content things, and then I come back to the main story, I'm well aware of what's going on. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm very much invested into the story. The story is great. The combat is fun as hell. They gave, at around the halfway point, they give you like a third weapon now. Like, so you got 3 sets of weapons. You got all these different abilities that you can fuck around and do shit with. There's, definitely more enemy variety than there was in the 2018 game. Overall, it's such a fun game. It's a beautiful game. The graphics, even though I'm playing it on a fucking PS4, like, it still looks phenomenal. They definitely didn't fucking skimp on the graphics just to, accommodate older hardware. Like, it still fucking looks great. It looks phenomenal. And, there's these, you have access to pretty much most of the realms now. Fucking every realm is fairly large, like, and these large areas still have plenty to do within them. It's not like you just have these large empty worlds where you just kind of, you go through, do the story stuff, leave, never come back. There's plenty to explore in these worlds. I know some people don't like all the side content stuff, but I think when the game is fun, side content can be very enjoyable, and that is definitely the case with God of War. Oh my god, I love this game. It's phenomenal. I've been waiting years for it, and it's everything I wanted from it. It's great. I'm very much looking forward to finishing it. and seeing how it all wraps up. But regardless, I can't recommend it highly enough. Even like I'd say, like, listen, I've put in like 30 hours into the game. I feel like that's plenty enough to like have an accurate judgment of what the game's gonna be like. All right, but like I said, I can't wait to see how it all comes to a close. I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to see where they go with the series. I've heard some people saying because of the ending, they don't think they're gonna go any further with the series, that God of War is truly wrapped up. I don't know. I haven't seen the ending for myself. I don't know for sure. But regardless, if there is more coming, I'm very excited for if there is more. If there isn't, I'm excited to see what Sony Santa Monica does next then. Because I don't think, like, just even if God of War is done, I don't think the studio's done, not by a long shot. I'm very excited to see what they bring forth next, because so far it's just been great. It's just been a fucking great time. What's up, guys? Vidya from 2 months after this was recorded. Just wanted to pop in and say, now that I have finished the game, not only was the ending good, it was easily one of my favorite parts of the game. It was absolutely phenomenal. So yes, this game has 100%, absolutely, without a doubt, earned its spot at number 1. It is a beautiful game, it is an incredibly fun game to play, and the story is absolutely fucking awesome. I absolutely loved it. Also, I know just a little bit ago I mentioned, talked about how there were theories about people wondering whether the series would continue or not. I personally believe that the series will continue, not necessarily with Kratos, but I do believe the series will continue. I am very excited to see what comes next, regardless if it does continue or not, but I have faith that yes, we will see more God of War in the future. But that's all I want to say. I just want to pop in and, give my full opinion now that I've played the game. So anyway, let's finish the video. But there you have it, folks. That is the end of this year's best of 2022 games. Woohoo! Like I said earlier, there were games I wanted to play that I just didn't have the time. I just didn't get to. I wanted to play Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes because, I loved Three Houses and I really wanted to check out Three Hopes, see what it was about. There were some non-AAA games I want to check out. Citizen Sleeper looked like a cool game. As Dusk Falls looked like a good one. I know that took home an award at the Game Awards this year. The Quarry. I didn't expect it to be a 10 out of 10 amazing game, but it looks like a silly, goofy, fun time that you would expect from the makers of Until Dawn. And, after Legends Arceus, I definitely wanted to check out Scarlet and Violet this year. I know there's been a lot of technical issues, but people have been saying that it's still really enjoyable regardless of the tech issues. So, and as someone who's a diehard Cyberpunk 2077 fan, I think I'd be more than willing to look past it, give it a chance. But yeah, there's plenty more too. I'm sure there's plenty of games I missed out on, whether indie or AAA, that I didn't get to. Like, I know Elden Ring took home Game of the Year this year, and honestly, I was never going to play that one. It's not my kind of game. But, Plague Tale Requiem came out, and I've been hoping to get into Plague Tale Innocence beforehand and check out that, see what that series is all about. But yeah, there's just so many games and only so much time. But yeah, that's gonna do it here for today. So what did you think of the list? Are there some games that I ranked highly that you thought, hey, they shouldn't be that high? Some games I ranked low that you said, that should have been a lot higher? Are there some sleeper hits I missed out on this year that I should definitely peep coming up in 2023? Maybe get them on the honorable mentions for next year. Who knows? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, peace.